So at this week's Board of Governors meetings, the NBA is set to recommend a bunch of new rules to crack down on tampering. This is clearly a reaction to this past summer when teams were somehow agreeing to complex contracts with players they weren't actually allowed to even speak to. I mean, personally, I totally bought that Kemba Walker flew up to Boston before free agency started because he wanted to do a research paper on clam chowder. But apparently the league feels instead it may have had to have something to do with him reaching a deal with the Celtics while still under contract to the Hornets. Go figure. The new proposal includes raising the maximum level that the NBA can fine a team to a whopping $10 million. The NBA also wants every new player contract to be accompanied by a signed document from ownership and front office staff saying no tampering was involved. Teams would be required to keep records of all its communication with its players or their agents for at least a year, and 5 of the NBA's 30 teams would be randomly audited each year to make sure they were following the rules. Oh, and here's another biggie. A proposed new rule that specifically prohibits, quote, players from inducing players under contract to request trades. Hey, guys, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George are right here, okay? They can hear you. Anyway, look, I get why the NBA is trying to do all this. What happened this summer was embarrassing and also dangerous. As Adam Silver noted in his press conference at Summer League, if you have one set of rules you regularly let people break, it sends the message that all the rules are fair game. But here's another thing Adam said that I also agree with. Quote, it's pointless at the end of the day to have rules that we can't enforce, unquote. And it's hard to look at the new rules and not instantly think of all the ways around them. Sure, you can require teams to submit their phone records, but those records don't say what was discussed on any particular phone call and don't account for all the in-person conversations that happen in locker room hallways or over lunches. Trying to govern what players say to each other also seems pretty dicey. Sure, you go tell James Harden you just want to check his DMs for a minute. Let me know how that goes. Honestly, all of this feels a lot like what happened after the summer of 2016 when Kevin Durant left Oklahoma City. The NBA reacted by inventing the Supermax, which was basically a really big bribe to try to get players to forego their free agency. Instead, it backfired. Because guess what? Already rich NBA players aren't going to say, well, you know what? I'd really like to play with these other guys and for my family to get to live in this whole other city, but golly gee, you're dangling money in front of me, so never mind. It's a lesson I would ask the NBA's governors to remember now. It seems like another misjudgment of how humans work to say, well, if we could just keep players from knowing another team is interested in them by prohibiting contact, then they won't want to move around. Players have phones. They have televisions. They have Woj. They already know what's going on out there. They are still going to talk to their friends and play on other teams. And besides, if you're a truly elite player, you already know that pretty much every team is interested in you. Do we really think Kawhi had no idea Doc Rivers thought he was good at basketball until Doc said something on ESPN this summer? Come on. Just like with the Supermax situation, I'd argue that the best way for teams to keep their superstars is to be, a well-run quality team that is worth staying for. And by the way, that still won't work every time. Players may still sometimes decide to do something other than what you want them to. But it still feels like a much better bet than a whole new set of rules to strengthen a system that isn't working in the first place. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.